800 million people will go to sleep hungry tonight. But with the Paris Agreement and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, world leaders are here in Marrakech to work on actions and solutions for a world in which no one is left behind. Agriculture is one of the largest contributors to climate change, and yet holds the key to solutions that can lower global emissions and address food security.
Food systems are key to the well-being of everyone. We need food to live and be healthy and to produce, and also to learn and earn. Now, as climate changes and weather patterns become uncertain, then unfortunately food systems are less predictable, and that in turn affects access to food, and it also actually affects the environment. And that means that in work on climate change, it's essential to be thinking about how to make sure that food systems are not only seen as a problem, but are seen as a solution.
As much as we want to grow agriculture, and through agriculture bring economic resilience and growth into our economy, and of course food security, but the cycle of disasters, and of course the devastating effects of climate change is always pulling us back.
The world is becoming more complex. Risk drivers are interconnected. Risks are global, and we need to provide the solutions that blend together traditional and new approaches. We need to have strong partnerships. We need to be focused on people, and we need to have national leadership.
Most of the poor and hungry populations of our world live in rural areas, dependent on agriculture for their livelihoods.
Climate change is undermining all other SDGs. We will not achieve food security for all. We will not eradicate poverty if we don't find a way to couple with the impacts of climate change. Let's make clear that we have now a need for a new paradigm. Agroecology is a new, let's say, approach that brings together practice. They are more environment friendly.
Most of the successful practices that I have seen out in the field that have been scaled up by IFAD, traditional practices of farmers, which we take and put them through the science that we have. Whom should we focus on? Rural women. If we do not give rural women the same opportunities as we give to their men, we will not achieve rural transformation. Development is not something we do for people or to people. Development is what people do for themselves.
Agriculture has been identified as a priority in 90% of intended nationally determined contributions.
We have with the NDCs an incredible opportunity to show that agriculture can be part of the solution to climate change. Agriculture and land use change. We fix carbon. We take the carbon back from the atmosphere and we put it back on the soils. There's no question that we need more money going into climate-smart agriculture. But we have two options. We wait for that money to come, or we do something with the money that we already have.
How can you facilitate the financing of those agriculture or those farmers? What people need is something from 15,000 euros to maybe 200,000 euros. That's where we can create jobs. But also bringing the youth into the system. No, it has been said if you take the case of Africa, every year we have 8 million youth coming to the employment markets.
Talking about action is not the same thing as action itself.
Costa Rica has done a lot of work in combining mitigation and adaptation strategies. We have low carbon coffee production, a program on that. We have a program on low carbon livestock production, both for meat and for milk. One example, shade trees in pastures. Shade trees capture carbon, but also the shade provides for a better environment for the animals that are in the pasture. The data show about 5 degrees centigrade difference in the shade and the sun, and an increase in 15% of milk production. So I think that's a win-win proposition.
Words by themselves and slogans cannot solve our problems. When I say our problems are collective global problems, words really need to be turned into actions, and actions into realities. We can and we should. We have a moral obligation to humanity. There is no going back.